Hello there. I'm continuing the series of analysis of my games played in Garesnica Open Tournament. Now we are on round 3. And as you can see, I'm white here. I'm playing against the opponent who is higher rated. So it's an interesting game. You can see from the result that I lost the game. And but before I lost, I had +6 advantage. So this is a typical tournament game that I'm already getting used to, having +6 advantage and then losing in one move. So this is one of these games. So just just as an introduction. Okay, so let's go to the game. I opened with e4 like I usually do, and my opponent played French. So before I go on, I just want to say a few words. How do I approach French defense? So I know that usually people who play French, they want close positions and positions in which which are very slow, very closed, very positional, in which both sides pieces are not so active and so forth. So my goal when playing the French is to get them out of their comfort zone, and I play French very aggressively. I try to activate my pieces. If I need to give up a pawn, I give up a pawn. So the most important thing is to activate my pieces, and then I try to play on the king side, because French players, they usually expand on the queen side, and I like to play on the king side. So these are just some general remarks, and you will see how this works in practice. So here I play, of course, d4, just taking the center. He played d5. I always play advanced French. So like I said, I want to play on the king side, so my pawns are already there, pointing on the king side. He played c5, typical move. I play c3 here, knight c6, knight f3, nothing new under the sun, and now knight g to e7. And this is unusual move. So usually here I encounter either queen to b6 or bishop to d7. These are the most common moves. This knight so early, it's not seen so often. And I happen to know an idea here, because he wants to jump here, and then he wants to attack my d pawn with everything he has. So in order to stop all these plans, I play here knight to a3, so my knight can come to the defense of the pawn. And this is what happened. So knight to f5, and now I just play knight to c2. Now my pawn is defended enough, and also as you can see, my knight is quick to jump on the king side, which I want to do in the future. So he continued queen to b6, so you can see he's piling the pressure on the cd pawn. This is all expected. And now queen to d3. And notice there is this tactics in which it may look like this pawn is hanging, but in fact it doesn't, because if he will go with everything on this pawn, in the end I would have this check, and I would win his queen after all the exchanges. This is a very typical idea. I don't want to explain it, but just to tell you. And so this pawn doesn't hang actually. And yeah, I'm hitting this knight. I'm not sure if I would take the knight, because if you take the knight, he takes you the pawn, and then this bishop comes here, and this is well, a very, very common position, which I'm not sure I like, but I like my bishop here on d3. But obviously he didn't like the idea, so he went back with the knight. And I think this is a bad move, just bringing your knight here, then back. He's just giving me extra tempi and extra time to continue my game. So here I castled, and now he rerouted his knight to g6. So he's just wasting many moves with his knight. And now there are several ways to continue the game. h4 is maybe the most aggressive, but usually I like to wait until the opponent castles to go with h pawn. But yeah, maybe here h4 would be a best move. This is what engine suggests, and it makes sense now when I see it. So pawn to h4, and now challenging this knight and so forth. But okay, I played a little bit slower, so rook to e1. E1 rook is first of all taking care of this pawn. You can see that this pawn is attacked twice, so there can be some combinations in which this pawn could be weakened. But the most importantly, once I really expand to the king side, I want my rook to be able to be lifted. So I'm looking for the rook lift. Okay, and now he played this bishop to d7. And now there are no more tricks. If you remember, the trick here was to give a check. There are no more tricks about this, but also this knight is no longer here on f5, so this pawn is still safe. And now I'm thinking of developing my bishop. And the problem with developing the bishop is that the b2 pawn is hanging. So you need to take care of the b2 pawn. Or you can sacrifice the b2 pawn if you are brave enough, just sacrifice the pawn and go immediately on the king side. But the problem is if you sacrifice this pawn, then this pawn is also hanging, so I'm not really happy about this. So you can either defend it with the rook, or you can play b3. So I decided to play b3 here. He develops another bishop, bishop e7. And now I was thinking a lot, should I develop this bishop on this diagonal, maybe fianchetto, maybe even here on a3, or should I just move it here? I don't want to bring it on e3 because I want to have the rook lift. Here this is not available, obviously. So I could develop it maybe here on d2 and just wait for him to see what will he do, will he castle or not. So, or just to develop it in one of these squares. So I wasn't sure what to do, but eventually I liked the idea of playing this bishop to g5 and just after the exchange having the knight here. But let's just come back for a moment. Let's say I played something else. Let's say I play bishop d2. Okay, and now I was thinking about this because I had a sense that he wants to castle. But now if he castles, I couldn't remember the idea, but the idea was this, to play h4. And now if he takes with the bishop, I can take with the knight. If he takes with the knight, and now I didn't remember the idea, so the idea is not, my idea in the head was, to threaten checkmate and then win the knight back, but then he has a defense, he can just win the knight. He can just bring the knight back and, well, I just lost the pawn for nothing. But the correct idea here is that I should first give check, and then when he takes, then I give check, he comes back, and then I take the knight. So I couldn't remember this idea because the move order I had in my head was first to play queen and threaten checkmate instead of giving check and then. Okay, so I couldn't remember this idea. I knew the motif, but I couldn't find the move, the sequence. I found it later. So yeah, this is why in this position I didn't play waiting move because I couldn't remember this variant. So instead of waiting move, I played this bishop to g5. He took, I took with the knight, and now he castled, and I brought my queen to h5. So very aggressively, like I said, you can see that all my pieces are now staring at the king side. There's a checkmate thread, the rook is coming, this knight is coming, and this is the dream position for me, for the French. This is what I want to do. So when somebody plays French against me, I want to crush him on the king side. And you can also see that this French structure, these fixed pawns in the center, they create a strong wall. And all his pieces are on the left side of the wall. So he doesn't have any defenders. I can sacrifice, I can sacrifice two pieces without any problem because this is the only defender he has this knight. When this defender goes away, I mean, he either gets checkmated or he loses many material. So this is the position which computer evaluates as +6. So I'm completely crashing. So I'm threatening checkmate. Let's see how the game continued and how I managed to blow this up. So I'm threatening checkmate. Okay. The only way to stop checkmate is to play h6. And now I just made a mistake in counting. So I was thinking, okay, great. I can take the knight with the bishop. He cannot take because he will get checkmated. So after I take the knight, he takes back, I take, he takes, I take, and I win 2 pawns. But I forgot when I was calculating, okay, it was afternoon game, so I guess I wasn't really very fresh. So I forget to count, and I forget that, yeah, I do win 2 pawns, but he wins a piece. So instead of, winning the game on the spot, I blundered and I lost the piece. So suddenly evaluation was +6, and now suddenly it's like -5. So the blunder was this. This is what I played. And then after he takes the bishop, suddenly I realized that my queen is attacked and my knight is attacked. So I can take the pawn, but now he just wins the knight. This is what happened in the game. Okay, let's see what would be the correct move here. Okay, you can pause the video if you want and try to find the correct move. So the winning move, the crushing move, is just to take this pawn. Because after I take the f7 pawn, this knight no longer has any defense, and now this knight is free to take. So in fact, the best move according to the engine is to give up this knight. So to take with the rook, and then I can take with the bishop, and I'm obviously winning this. But of course, black can try to save his knight, and this knight to f4 is an interesting variant. So he's attacking my undefended bishop, but and my queen. But I don't really care. I can just take. I can sacrifice this this knight. He takes. I take with the queen, and now if he goes on and be greedy, and take this, I mean, there is no way he can defend it. So this rook is coming, and he's getting checkmated here. Of course, if I really want to get my material back, I can just leave check and just take the knight back, and then lift to the rook and continue the attack. But there is no way he can defend because all his pieces are out of the game, and he doesn't have time to defend. So I think the best variant is something like this, just to stop the king from escape. And now once the king cannot escape, now put up the rook and just crush him. And you can see that even if I don't give a checkmate, I have 3 pawns. I mean, he cannot stop all these pawns, and he's gone. So this is why this position is evaluated as +6, but I managed to blow it up. So let's see what happened in the game. Took. Okay. And now what am I to do? Well, the only thing I can do is to try to continue the attack and hope that he will. I mean, he's now better, but okay, maybe he'll make a mistake. So I immediately lifted up my rook, and he played here knight to e7. Okay. Trying to bring his pieces to the defense. And this is his plan. So he'll try to bring his pieces to the defense. So I took this pawn. He played knight to f5. And now, since I was so mad at myself that I blundered and I wasn't fresh. I don't know how this tunnel vision happens, but when he played the knight here, I saw that he is attacking the pawn. Somehow I didn't see that he's attacking the rook. I just didn't see it. I saw he's attacking the pawn, and I was like, okay, I don't want him to take this pawn because then his queen will be active and everything. And okay, let's play rook to d1. My idea was, okay, I'm protecting the pawn, and then I will play rook to d3 maybe, and then I will have both of my rooks here lifted, and maybe I'll get something. I didn't see that this rook is hanging. So maybe I could get away with this first blunder, because also here he didn't play this correctly. The computer evaluation is -2. So, okay, I guess this could be playable. I still have pressure. I can still win, maybe win a pawn, maybe, try to push pawns, try to make some threats or something. But now I just blundered the whole rook. So, yeah, rook to d1, and now he took the rook. And now I'm completely gone. I tried to do something, but you'll see I got checkmated very soon. So now he wants to exchange queens. I don't want to do this. And now he goes queen e8. Again, wanting to exchange queens. I move, he goes queen to f7, hitting this pawn, but okay, it's defended. And now I play rook to d3, hoping that I will get some kind of attack, maybe over here. But he just played queen to f4. Now trying to force the exchange of queens. And here I blundered again. So third big blunder. I thought that I was very smart by playing knight to g4, stopping the exchange, and maybe this could be an idea once the rook is here. Maybe this check could do something. I had some ideas, but then this is just a back rank mate. So I resigned the game. Yeah, so what can I tell? I mean, I didn't count the pieces, so basic counting mistake, and then I got tilted. I blundered the rook, and then I blundered back rank mate. So many blunders after I got the position +6. But okay, I mean, at least if it is any comfort, I faced the French correctly. I have this way of playing against French, and I like this way of playing, and I see that by following my principles, my ideas of playing against French, I can come to the positions +6. And well, all I have to do is not make 3 blunders, and maybe I will be able to win. Okay, thank you very much for watching. This was it for round 3, and stay tuned for round 4. Cheers.